work. Okay, sorry about it. Okay, so again, hello everybody. Thank you for being here. Today's English class, we are going to talk about some class announcements that I need to tell you about or remind you of. Also, we are going to talk about basic prepositions. It's like a review because, yeah, basic prepositions are quite tricky in English. So we'll talk about that. I'm hoping that we can start with present continuous and past continuous, past simple. We'll see how far we get tonight, depending on how we're working today. All right, so let me start right away. The first announcement that I want to make tonight, it's related to the book that we are going to be using on this class. We always use a book, which is kind of the base of our course. So let me show you which is the book that you have to buy. It's called Startup 3. I had already shared this information on LMS. So yeah, that's where you can find it. So this is the name, Startup 3. This is how it looks. The idea is that you can buy it printed or digital, depending on whatever you prefer. And if you are in Cochabamba, you can buy it at Libreria Gisbert here. But if you are not in Cochabamba, if you're somewhere else, I'm gonna send this this website so you can visit it and find out where your nearest bookstore is. Okay, so it depends on where you are. I know that you can buy it in La Paz and Santa Cruz. I'm not sure if you can buy it in Tarija. So if you're in Tarija, maybe you are going to need a digital book. But yeah, it depends. I'm not in charge of selling the books, so I actually don't have the information of the prices or any other thing related to the library. That's information that you need to get with them. Okay, so visit the website if you're not in Cochabamba. If you're in Cochabamba, go directly there or get in touch with these people. Here is their phone number. I'm going to also copy it in the chat in case you need it. And yeah, this is the name of the person in charge of the library here in Cochabamba. If you're not, then you'll need to find out where to buy it on the website. Okay, so yeah, it's Startup 3. Of course, starting with the book, it's one thing, because if you buy the book, you are going to have your book printed or digital. We are going to use it, but we are also going to use the platform. Let me see if I got it. Yes, I'm still sharing. So we're going to be using the platform, which is called My English Lab. And yeah, we always use it. So that's not, this is not going to be the exception. And when you buy your book, you have to log in on My English Lab, where we are going to complete basic exercises related to the grammar that we study on the book. Okay, so yeah, that's also going to be something that is necessary for you. As you can see here, we have like all the lessons, all the units, and many exercises. Of course, we're not going to complete all of that because it is impossible. There are too many, but we are going to be completing some of them, which are necessary for us to practice whatever we do in class. I'm not going to assign everything, but I'm going to leave them open in case you want to practice. So whenever you have free time, for example, you can log in on My English Lab and practice with the exercises that they have here. There's exercises for everything. One important thing is that if you don't buy the book, this book that we have here, if you don't buy that one, you cannot use the platform on My English Lab. So yeah, that's why you need to buy the book. That's one of the reasons why you need to buy the book. Okay, so very good. That's all the information that I needed to tell you about the book. Of course, we are starting this week because last week we were getting acquainted. Also, we were completed the diagnostic text, but this week we are going to continue with normal activities based on the book. So I'm going to give you this whole week for you to be able to buy the book. Okay, so buy it as soon as you can, as soon as possible for you. And yeah, let me know if you need any help during the process. Where can we buy it in La Paz? As I said, I'm not sure, I'm not from La Paz, but if you visit the website that I sent on the chat, you are going to find the information. So let me send the website again. And maybe we can check the website together also. So yeah, we have 2 places where you can buy it in La Paz. Here it says Calle Comercio, not familiar with it, or this one, Avenida Montenegro. That's all the information that I can give you. I'm sorry, but I'm not from La Paz, so yeah, get in touch with the people from the library. Rodrigo, do you have anything to say?
Yes, I have a question. Do you know if the web page can send the books to Tarija or to our department?
As far as I'm aware, they can, yes, but I'm not really sure this year because everything changes year by year. So I recommend getting in touch with the people from the library. But I have some other students from other years that they have bought the book and they sent it.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
No problem. But either way, you can buy it printed or digital, but like that's the option that they give you. Okay, do we have more questions about the book or anything that I've talked about? Let me know. Yeah. Okay. So that's it actually, what I wanted to say. Other than that, we're going to be working on LMS and we're going to be working on this platform that I just shared. That's not the platform. This is the platform, on this platform. Okay, so we are going to be meeting on Zoom for the classes. We are going to be working on My English Lab sometimes. I try not to give homework because I know you are busy people, but sometimes we have 1 or 2 exercises if the grammar is too complicated or if there is something that we need to practice. Also, here it's where I'm going to be sharing my classes, my video classes, and all the material that we usually use in this class. So please get enrolled. I don't have many people here, so make sure that you can use the platform. Let me know if you are experiencing any problem. I know that some of you have already sent the request on the form. So I'm hoping that by tomorrow, you will get an answer or hopefully a solution. But yeah, the rest of you, please try to get in and see if it's working, because if it's not working, we'll need to find a solution for that. Yes, another thing that I wanted to mention is that it's going to be looking like this. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing this, all the information, like weeks, like the regular template that we have. And you are going to be finding the video classes like this. Okay, so we have only had 2 classes. I usually share them with the date. Okay, so you can, if you miss a class, you look here and you look for the date that you missed. On the last class that we had together, we were reviewing verb tenses. Okay, so as I was saying, so if you're not if you're not familiar with the verb tenses, or if there's any verb that you are missing, let me go where I want to go here. If there's any verb that you're missing, something that you are not sure about verb tenses, I recommend watching this video, because we reviewed all verb tenses in English. So it could be a lot of very helpful actually for you. So I recommend visiting the video. So yeah, that's how it's going to work. I'm going to be posting the videos here. I usually upload them to YouTube because it's easier to navigate for you to go further if you don't want to watch one part of the class and you want to move to another. And it's also easier for me to name the different parts of the video. So that's why I used that. Yeah, I'm going to be sharing the slides. I'm not sure why I wasn't able to share last class slides, but yeah, I'm going to be sharing everything here. That's how it's going to work. So please make sure that you can use LMS, so all of us can get here soon, where we can also take the exams and different activities that we are going to be needing during these 3 months that we are going to be together. Okay. So yeah, remember to check if you can get in this platform, and if you're experiencing any problem, let me know so I can try to help you. Okay, any comments, questions up to this part? Let me see, let me open the chat. Okay, so I think we can get to the grammar that we are going to be practicing tonight. So as I told you, we are going to be working on basic prepositions. Let me make it even bigger. All right, basic prepositions. When I say basic prepositions, I mean in, on, at. Okay, that's what I mean by basic prepositions. Let me mark it so we are all on the same page. In, on, at. In, on, at are very short words, very small, but very important words. Okay, so you are going to need to practice them a lot in order to remember when to use which. Okay, they are very specific. They have there are rules for them to be used, but they are also very confusing. That's why sometimes we're not sure which one to use, in, on, at. But now I'm going to try to give you like a panorama for you to be able to identify more or less when to use each of them. Okay. The first thing that you need to know here is that we can use them for time and for location. Okay, so we have two options, time and location. And also, you need to remember that they are divided into categories, if you wish. Okay, so that's why we have an inverted pyramid here. Okay, so in always refers to bigger places or to general time, like long portions of time, long periods of time. And also when we talk about location, if you are referring to something big, you are going to use in, definitely. So let me give you more specific examples. Let's start by location. So you are going to use in when you are talking about a country, or when you are talking about a city, or when you are talking about a neighborhood. Neighborhood means barrio or vecindario, okay? So big places, very big portions of land, if you wish. So I live in Bolivia, I live in Cochabamba, I live in Queruquero, for example. All right, so there you have the three of them. In Bolivia, in Cochabamba, in Queruquero. All right, don't forget that you have three big places where you can use the preposition in. Regarding time, we have more options. When you're talking about time, you have to use in when you're talking about centuries, big periods of time, I'm telling you. When you're talking about decades, again, a decade is very long. Also, when you're talking about years, long portions of time. Months also. And when you're talking about weeks, for example, into weeks. Okay. So what about when you're talking about centuries? You can say he was born in the 1800s. In the 1800s. Okay. So in is the preposition that you're going to be using there. Decades, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s. In is the preposition you need there. Years also, in 1970, in 1981. All right, so big portions of time, in. I said 1970, but you can also say 1970, right? That's not how we talk about dates, so it's better to say 1970 or 1981. Also with months, in July, in April, in May, in October, in December, etc. Right? So in for months of the year. And finally, when you are talking about periods of time like weeks, in 1 week, in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks, etc. Right? So that's the idea with in. Remember, you are going to use in when you are referring to big places like countries, cities, and neighborhoods. And you are going to use in for time when you are talking about long portions of time. Decades, centuries, years, months, weeks. Okay? That's the rule here. Now let's get a little more specific with on. So with on, we get, as I said, a little more specific. On is more specific than in, definitely. It's more specific and it refers to smaller places. Let's talk about location first. So you are going to use on when you refer only to streets and avenues. That's it, streets and avenues. For example, I live on America Avenue. I live on America Avenue. Or I live, let's write it here, I live on Padilla Street. Okay, so that's it. When you are talking about the name of your street, the name of your avenue, that's on, definitely. So that's when you are going to use on for location. Remember that within, we were talking about big places, a city, a country, a neighborhood. In this case, we are becoming more specific and we are talking about a specific street in my city, a specific avenue in my city, not just the whole city. So that's why it becomes more specific. Also, we are talking about smaller portions of time when we use on for time. Let me go here. This one. So you are going to use on for days, like on Monday, on Friday, on Thursday. So whenever you are naming any of the names of the days of the week, it's on. I'll see you on Friday. Our class is on Wednesday, for example. Okay, so that's when you're going to be using on. Also, you can use it with the weekend. American people use it with the weekend. So they say, I'll see you on the weekend. Or she does exercise on the weekend. And also, you can use it with your festivities, like on Christmas Day, on my birthday, etc. And finally, and most importantly, you are going to use it with dates. Dates. That's not written there, but with dates. Specific dates, it's definitely on. So our course started on February 26th. Okay, so I'm giving the specific date. It's not any day in February, it's definitely on February 26th, on the 26th day of February. Okay, what's the difference then with in? Let me show you so you can see it. Our course started in February, and I don't need the date. Okay, so you are going to use in only when you are talking about the month in general. But when you want to be specific on the day, the exact day of the month, like the 26th, then it's definitely on. Okay, that would be the difference. Oh, also with the year, if you wish. So in 2024. All right, so it's general. It's a long portion of time, so I'm using in. The more specific you get with time, the more you need to use on. The more general you are, the more you need to use in. Okay, so it depends on how general or how specific you want to be. So that's it. Okay, so remember for days of the week, dates, and the weekend in general. Okay, so that's with on, more specific and smaller. Finally, we are going to talk about at, which is the most specific of all. Okay, this is extremely specific at this point. So at is going to be used only to talk about the time. Only to talk about the time. So our class is at 7 p.m. So that's why I'm using at, okay, to talk about the time. I'll see you at 7 a.m. I usually have lunch at 12 o'clock, or I finish work at 5 p.m. Okay, so only with the time, it's at, nothing else. Okay, so it's very specific. It's not any time of the year, it's not any time of the month, it's not a day in the month or in the week, it's a specific time. Okay, this is the smallest portion that we can talk about time. Finally, regarding location, it is also very specific. So within, I was talking about countries, cities, big places. With on, I was talking about the whole street, a very long street. But with at, I'm getting very specific, and I'm talking about the specific address. Okay, so not any street, the specific address and a specific location. So let me give you an example here. Oh no, we have the example already. Let me use the same one. This one. Yeah, this doesn't need to work. Okay, so let me mark this one and start using the same. So I live on America Avenue. I live on Padilla Street. It's perfect. But if I want to get more specific, let me change the color so you can see the differences. I live at 123 America Avenue. All right, so it's not any place in America Avenue. It's very specific at 123. My house number would be 123 America Avenue. The same will happen with Padilla Street. I live at 4796 Padilla Street, for example. All right, so when you are giving your specific address, you need to use at, because as I told you, at is the most specific of all the prepositions, And when you want to share your address in English, you need to start by the number and then the name of the avenue or street, and finally the word avenue or street. Right? So it's a matter of how specific the information is. Let me put it like this. So we're going to draw an arrow like this, and let's write it like this. So more specific, or most specific works better. More specific. And you can say least specific. Oops. Least specific. Which is the least specific? I told you in, because it talks about big portions of time, big places. And then we have more specific, it's on, because it talks about something smaller than within. Not a whole city, a street. Not the whole month, a day, for example. And finally, we have at, which is the most specific of all prepositions. Okay, so it's a matter of how specific is your information or the information that you're sharing. Okay, you can also put it like that. Okay, so that's kind of a review. Now, it is easy to remember all of those situations in which you need to use in, on, or at. No, it's confusing because it's difficult to memorize all of this information at once. So that's why you need to keep practicing. Okay, it's not going to be the easiest thing that you're going to do, but prepositions are very necessary when we are speaking or writing English, because, yeah, as I told you, they depend on what you are talking about. Okay, do we have questions about this or any comments? Yes, Juan, tell me.
No, we have, thanks.
All right, so yeah, if you have questions, it is important to ask your questions, because when you get your questions for yourself, or when you try to solve them on the internet, you may get wrong information. So it's important to ask your questions. You can always ask me your questions using your microphone, or you can use the chat, which is the same. I'm always looking at the chat. I'm always reading you. So whatever works better for you, you can use them.
Sorry, my microphone was off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
tell me.
Well, how do you say? I'm on the train, I'm in the train, I'm on the bus, I'm in the bus, I'm in my car. What's the difference of that in that expression?
Yes. All right. So for all means of transportation, we use on a boat, on the plane, on the train. But there's an exception, in the car. So the car would be the only exception, because also on a bike, on a motorcycle, yeah, everything works with on, all means of transportation. It's except this one, right?
Okay, thank you.
Now, why that is the exception, we don't know. They think that it may be because a car is smaller, so you are like inside a car, but yeah, it doesn't really make much sense. So yeah, there is no real explanation, but yeah, a boat, a plane, let me write them down, on a bike, on the train, etc. Yeah, so all means of transportation with on. This is when you are inside the place, okay? But for example, if you want to tell me I am traveling, and then you want to mention the means of transportation, then you would have to use by, which is another preposition, Okay. So for example, let me write it here. I'm traveling by plane. That means that I plan to travel by plane in the future. I'm not inside the plane right now. Okay, that would be a little difference. Yeah.
Okay, and when you're at home, you say I'm in my bedroom, I'm in my house, or on the house. What's the difference there?
Yeah,
The
that's
same
a
question.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's also a very good question because usually when you are inside a place, we use in. For example, now I'm in the office, or you could say in the kitchen, in the bedroom, etc. Except there are always exceptions with prepositions. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. That's why I always tell my students that prepositions are tricky. So the exception, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Yes, the exception would be a home. When you use the word home, it's at. So now I'm at home, okay? But if I want to mention the specific place of the house, it's in. I'm in the office, or as I said, I'm in the kitchen, etc. Yeah, so this would be the exception again. All right, more questions, anybody? Is it okay to say on my house? Nope. Yeah, that's a question that I just answered. You can never say on my house. Okay, so that's why here it says a specific location. When you're in a specific location, you are most likely to use at. Okay, so for example, if now I called you, you can say, I can ask you, where are you? You're going to say, I'm at the supermarket, for example. Or I'll see you at the restaurant. I'm at school. I'm at school. Also with university, with the word university, we always use at university. So I'm at the university, I work at the Catholic University, right? So these are specific rules. And if you are one of those persons who, one of those people actually, who attend church, you can also use at church. So I'll see you at church, or I'm at church. So with these three words, it's mandatory to use at always, no exception. And just in time or at on time. Yeah, that's also a tricky one. Yeah, there is both are correct. Okay, so you can say, I can say be on time if I want you, or she was in time, just in time. Both of them are correct. Be on time, it's like when you are punctual. If the class starts at 7, you are here at 7, like very punctual, on time. But if you say in time, it's not so punctual. So you are before the time that we wanted to start the class. If the class starts at 7 and you are here 5 minutes earlier, then you are in time, because there is some time before. Okay, so it depends on what you mean. We can also say punctual and before time, or before the agreed time. So both are correct depending on what you mean. When I start the class, I always say, thanks for being on time, because we start at 7 and you're here at 7. But yeah, it depends on what we mean. Yeah, so if you have any other questions, just write them down to me and we can check.
Valeria,
Mhm.
sorry, I can change my options saying I am at my house kitchen, for example.
At my house's kitchen. Not really. No, it wouldn't work. No, it would be also in.
In my
Yes.
house kitchen. Okay.
Yes, because
Okay.
the place is still.
That's
the
really
key.
confused, but because it's a very specific, I don't know, point.
Yeah, yeah, it's a very specific place of the city, but still
Oh,
you are
right.
inside the house. That's the name. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So when your preposition means inside, it's always in. You're inside a house or in any place there. Also, I told you, you have to always use at for university. So I'm at university, but if you want to mention the specific place, you are in the cafeteria, in the classroom, in the photocopy center, etc. Okay, so a specific place in the building, it's in. Yeah,
Okay.
it's very confusing.
Inside the building.
Inside a building.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. Good. Any other
Excuse me.
questions?
Yes.
Mhm.
If I say I late the hour. Me cuesta hablar en inglés.
Don't worry.
How I'll say at the hour puntual.
Puntual, that would be on time.
At okay.
Here. Yes.
And I say the hour 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that would be at. So be on time. Be here at 7 p.m., for example. Yeah. Yes. Good.
Thank you.
So, no problem. So if I mention the specific time, it's always at. That's good. All right. More questions? Anybody? Before we get to practice, I'm going to be sharing a few sentences, and you will have to choose whether we have to use in, on, or at. Of course, I'm going to be sharing this document with you too, so if you need it, you can look at it again. Now, then let me clear all my drawings because, yeah, this is full of things. I'm sorry about that, but yeah. Okay. Another thing that I did that may be helpful, I like this pyramid because it's like very visual. You can actually memorize it like that, and it helps a lot. But if you are those kind of persons or those kind of people who are more systematic, if you wish, maybe this could be more helpful for each of you. And for example, I prefer this. This is like what I do when I am studying a language. I prefer to do everything like in charts, like very organized. But it depends on how you learn. So it's the same information as we have in the pyramid, but now we have it on a chart. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing both with you, and you decide which one is more helpful. So it's the same time and location, also with examples, time and location for on and time and location for at. That's it. Same information in a different presentation depending on what you need. Okay. Remember that in, anyways, is the one that we use in most situations. Okay, because it's more general, so you have more options. And then on is the one that you use in less locations, for example, only with streets and avenues. Then you are not going to be using on. And finally, at also gets very specific. We don't have many options there. For time, we only have one, which is to talk about the time. Okay, so yeah. It depends on the preposition that you want to use. Now let's go to practice. Of course, if you have more questions during the presentation, just let me know and we'll get there. I'm going to be sharing some slides with some sentences, and you will have to choose whether we have to use in, on, or at, depending on what you remember. Okay, so this is also going to be testing your memory. I'm not going to be sharing the pyramid anymore, Here we are only going to be using our memories. And of course, if you took notes, you can use your notes. Let me write my question. And let me write my options. I'm a very big fan of using the polls here on Zoom. That's one of the reasons I like Zoom, because I can have you all participate without having to name you, or without having to put a lot of pressure in you. So we can use the polls to participate in class. So let me ask you this question. As soon as this starts working, here it is. Okay, so we have the sentence. What do you usually do the evening? And I didn't tell you about the evening, but maybe you know this one. So in, on, or at. You can vote in my poll. I'm gonna give you around 30 seconds or 45 seconds, depending on the participation I get. So how many? Yeah, okay. I didn't mention anything about the evening, and I didn't mention anything about days, the parts of the day. So now we are going to use this one as an excuse to tell you which preposition we use in each part of the day. So we have a winner, and I don't agree. Let me share the results. You can see which option one, the winner is at, but it's not the correct one, right? The correct preposition when you are talking about parts of the day is in, okay? In the morning, that's definitely. In the afternoon, definitely correct. In the evening, that's perfectly correct. We have an exception. You know that English loves exceptions. They give you the rule and immediately they give you an exception. And that would be the night. You cannot say in the night. We never say that. We always say at night. Okay, so yeah, that will be the only exception here. Also, we have other exceptions. For example, at midday, which means a mediodía, at midday. Yeah, at midnight, which is a medianoche. Yeah, those are the exceptions. The rest of them go with in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Okay, this one was a little tricky. Yeah, again, if you have questions, just open your mics or write on the chat, and we can keep you noticed. So let me relaunch the poll. I will relaunch it after I finish clearing my slides. So remember, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, but at midday, at midnight, at night.
Valeria, I have a question.
Yep.
Even if you use the word usually as saying the time, the repeat action every time, you use in, even that?
Yes. Yeah, for example, I usually run in the morning.
Okay.
Yes. And also at for the night. I usually read a book at night, for example. Yeah, so the preposition keeps the same.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Any more questions or comments here before we move on to the next one? Okay, so we're ready for number 2. Here we have two of them, and it is a question. What are you usually doing? 11 a.m. Monday. So I'm going to tell you the first one because it's very easy. We cannot forget that we use at when we are talking about the time. That's very easy. And let me relaunch the poll so we can decide which one can we use on the second option. I don't want you to decide on the first one, just this one on the poll. Let me give you a few more seconds to vote. And here I'm happier because you are getting the right answer as a difference from the previous one. Here we got more votes. Okay, so let me share the results. We have a clear winner and definitely we say on Monday, definitely, okay? So remember, when you are talking about the days of the week, it's always on Monday, on Tuesday, on Friday, on Saturday, etc. Very good. Now I think we are ready for another one because this one was easier than the previous one. Let's see what we've got in number 3. So number 3 is, do you get up late? Sunday morning. Now we have 2 words, so that may be a little more confusing. So what do you think? On, in, or at for Sunday morning? We have a clear tendency here. Okay, so while you're voting, I'm writing down some examples. Okay, definitely we have a winner and I like it. It's definitely on Sunday morning. Why? Because we are still talking about a day in the week. Okay, so this is what it's mandatory on Sunday morning. Whenever you're talking about a day of the week, it's on. Then I have written down these ones because my students, because we speak Spanish as the first language, always say Sunday in the morning. That's not correct. So let me mark it here. This is incorrect. We always say on Sunday morning. So what do you do on Sunday mornings? And we never say, what do you do Sunday in the morning? Which I usually hear my students saying that, so don't do it. It's not correct to say Sunday in the morning. Just go direct Sunday morning, Saturday evening. All right, so yeah, it's direct in English. Let's go with the next one, number 4. We have here, what do you normally do the weekend? I told you this one, I told you in the examples that I gave you. So let's see if you remember. What do you do before the weekend? What do you use actually? Okay, so apparently you weren't listening or you got confused because we have a winner which is not the correct one here.
Valerie, sorry, how do you say when the chances are the same percentage? For example, on 30 and in 30, that's a mate? How do you say that?
Oh, we say even.
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 Okay.
Yes. Even. This time it's not even, but it's nearly even. Okay, so let me share the results with you guys because yeah, I'm not happy here. I told you that when we are talking about the weekend, we are always going to use on the weekend.
On.
On. Yes, definitely. Sometimes it depends. You know that we have American English and Americans use on the weekend. We also have the UK and they use at. So sometimes you get people saying at the weekend, people from Australia, from Kenya, from the UK, of course, they usually use at, okay? But since American English is like the more broadly variant that we teach, we tend to say that you have to use on. Okay, so yeah, I recommend using on in English. On the weekend.
We can't erase the. We can say, what do you normally do on weekend?
No, it is impossible. It doesn't sound correct. Nope.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I hear that. I don't know
Yeah.
when.
If you
Yeah.
say plurally, si lo dices
There
de
you go.
manera plural,
Yes, that's right. Yeah. What do you normally do on weekends? That's perfect. If you say it in plural as Juan says. So the only way you can use it is weekends.
Okay.
Yes. Or you can
Maybe
also
I didn't hear the is the no, nothing.
maybe that's the one that you heard. Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, it may be. Also, you can use it with an adjective before that. So on long weekends, on I don't know, on holiday weekends, etc. But it would work. But yeah, it would have to be plural. Yes, all right. Let's move on and let's go to number 5. And we have a very easy one. Of course, you will remember this one. So let me stop sharing and relaunch my poll. So please do it correctly. I have all my votes on you. Okay, we're doing good now. So you have to pay attention on the day. What do we use to talk about days of the week? That's the key here. Never mind you have nights at the end. Your focus is here on the day. Yes. That's where your focus is. So let me share the results.
Again.
Yes. We can relaunch it so all of you can rethink your answers. So yeah, since we are talking about Saturday, we need to use on. Yes, because whenever you are talking about a day of the week, no matter if it's the morning, the night, the afternoon, it's always on. On Saturday morning, on Saturday night, on Saturday afternoon. Never mind, it's always on because this is your focus. On. That was a tricky one. So yeah, they look similar, but there's always a trick. Now let's go with number 6. So you have, what's your favorite activity to do? Summer. I didn't tell you about the summer when we were talking about the prepositions in the pyramid. I'm going to give you a hint. Think about the summer as a long period of time, 3 months of summer. That's all I'm going to say. Let me give you a few more seconds to vote. Okay, so here I'm happy because we got good results. We have a clear winner, and it's of course in. Okay, in the summer, in the autumn, in the winter. Why? Because we are talking about a long period of time. I told you that when we are talking about long periods of time, it's always in 1900s, in 1971, in April, in May, in the summer, in the autumn, etc. Okay, long portions of time. Good. Now let's go with another one. We have here, what do you think life will be in 2100, in 2100? Okay, so let me stop sharing. Let me relaunch. And yeah, let me tell you that we need to use here the same criteria that we used in the previous one. So when we are talking about years, we are talking about long periods of time. Let me give you a few more seconds to vote. Alrighty, let me share the results. Oops, here it is. And yeah, what do we have? That when you are talking about yes, it's always at, sorry, it's not always at, it's always in. When you are talking about years. So in 1990, in 2010, in 2024, sorry, in 2100, etc. So when you're talking about years, it's always in, definitely. Long periods of time, again, the same criteria. Now let's go to number 8. When do you finish work, class? What is this? This is something that we have practiced a lot. So is it in, on, or at? Again, where is your focus? On the day of the week. So which preposition do we use to talk about a specific day of the week? Your focus is here again. Okay, we have a clear winner, and I'm happy because it's getting in. It's getting in, the information is getting in. All right,
But the
so
question is that kind of strange, isn't it?
it is.
Because when do you finish work, class on Friday?
Yes. It sounds weird, but it means what time?
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was translating, that's why.
Yeah, it happens. Because in
yeah.
Spanish, we wouldn't speak like this. It sounds
Yeah.
weird in Spanish, yes.
Mm.
Yeah. But in English, it makes perfect sense. So when do you finish? It means what time?
What time? Okay, thanks.
No problem. Yeah, so it's definitely on because we are talking about a day of the week, and a day of the week, it's always on. There's no where to get loose here. Okay, let's go again, but this time with another one. So where do you usually go? Lunchtime during the week. This is tricky. Think about it. Don't just answer because it's a tricky one. I'm going to give you a hint. Let me reopen the poll, and let me give you a hint here. So we are using the word time. What do we use for time? Okay, so that's gonna give you an idea. They work together. Time is the hint.
Hard, too hard.
It's too hard. Yes, yes. And most of you are going to think this doesn't make sense, but yeah. And that's why I said at the beginning of the class, prepositions are tricky. We have some rules, but then we always have to look at what's around. So yeah, it's kind of tricky. Okay, we have enough votes. Let me share. This is the one we have, and we have a winner, and the winner is at, and I totally agree with you. Why? Because we are talking about a specific time. At lunch time, it's not any part of the day, it's at lunchtime, very specific. So here in Bolivia, lunchtime is usually at 12:30, I guess, 12 or 12:30, so that's very specific in the day. It's not any time, it's lunchtime. The same with at bedtime, for example. What do you read to your children at bedtime? A specific time of the day. It's not any time. For example, at 9 o'clock, if your children go to bed at 9 o'clock. So yeah, whenever we use the verb, the word time, we need at because we are referring to a specific time. Yes, Juan, tell us.
Hello, teacher. I have a question about your example, because in this case, you are using lunchtime during the week, but lunchtime could be on intervals of or maybe periods, an hour. So it's not a specific time. Why are you using at? It's just for the in this case for the mode of the grammar, or why is exactly the preposition at?
Yeah, it's because I said that we are using the word time, so we assume that we have a specific time for that. Like it's not any time of the day, it's not the whole morning, it's not the whole afternoon, it's lunchtime, which is kind of a period. It's like kind of established. The same with at bedtime. Of course, not everybody goes to bed at the same time, but we have kind of an understanding or an agreement on what time that is. Okay, so that's just because we are using the word time, we assume that we have like an agreement or understanding here. That's why I said it's tricky, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but that's the explanation, because we're using the word time. So another rule here would be that whenever you are using an expression that carries the word time, you have to go with at. That would be my advice here. You see the word time, you use at. That's it. I hope it's clearer, but yeah, I said it. It's tricky.
Okay.
Okay, more. Oh, no problem. Sharon, do you want to say something?
Excuse me, teacher. Entonces, is the same to say at breakfast or at breakfast time?
Yeah, we don't have an expression like at breakfast time. No, we just say at breakfast, but it depends again.
It's
For
a
example,
specific time.
yes, a specific
Okay.
time. So when I say see you at breakfast, means that I will see you at the time that we have breakfast. But with breakfast, we don't use the word time because it doesn't sound good. Okay, so it says
It's the same. It's the same. Say at lunchtime, or see you at lunch, or at lunchtime. It's the same.
Yeah, the same. See you at lunch, meaning at lunchtime.
Okay.
Yes. Good. See you at lunch. See you at dinner. Again, it works the same.
Okay, teacher, gracias.
No problem. See you at dinner. Dinner time? Yeah, we do say dinner time. I don't know why we never say at breakfast time. It doesn't sound correct. Yeah. Okay. Any other more questions or comments before we move on? Okay. All right. So at breakfast, only when you are referring to at the time that we have breakfast. Okay. Because then you are going to see that we are going to be using other prepositions before breakfast, but that's going to be another context. So yeah, that's going to be another story. And let's not get too confused now, because yeah, it's already hard to try to remember in on ads. So later on, we're going to be adding more prepositions. So yeah, so when you are referring to a specific time of the day, even if you are not mentioning the time, it's still at. Okay, so when I say see you at breakfast, I'm not saying the time, but yeah, I mean at breakfast time. I'm like when we have breakfast. Okay, at the time that we have breakfast. All right, let's go on. And yeah, this is getting trickier and trickier. Here we have, do you prefer to do exercise morning or evening? So we have two blank spaces, but we have only one preposition correct. So let me relaunch. And yeah, which preposition do we need here when we're talking about specific parts of the day? We still are getting some votes where it's not correct.
You are enjoying it.
I am, definitely. Yes. So, do you prefer to do exercise? I just told you, so you guys must be keeping notes here. Let me share the results. You have to do one. Okay, so I told you, different parts of the day, it's always in. So in the morning, of course, and in the evening, of course. Okay, so the exceptions are, the exceptions are at night, I told you, at
night.
midday, and at midnight. There you go. All right, so we only have 3 exceptions. The rest of them always go with in. We don't get on when we are talking about different parts of the day. Right? So on, it's out of the game here. All right, let's go with another one. Let's start over. This one is too easy. I just told you parts of the day. It's in the morning. Do you drink coffee in the morning? Do you drink coffee in the evening? Do you drink coffee at night? So yeah, you know that. And then we have, what time do you normally get up on Monday? Because you are,
On Monday.
yes, definitely using a day of the week. So on Monday, on Tuesday, on Thursday, on Friday, whatever day you're using on. This one, let me see if you remember this one. Let me relaunch the poll. So where do you go on holiday this summer? Let's see if we remember this one. Let me give you my hint again. Although we are getting the correct answer, we're talking about a long period of time. Okay, I'm happier this time. Very good. It's working. You have a good memory, guys. So yeah, it's in the summer, long portions of time. Also, here is one thing that I wanted to mention. We say go on holiday or holiday. Some people say holiday, depending on where they're from. So people from the UK usually say go on holiday, but people from America say go on vacation.
Vacations.
Vacation, yes. Yes, so both of them are correct. Both of them mean the same. I think that I use holiday more often. That's like the one I prefer, but yeah, both are correct. Both mean the same, on holiday or on vacation. All right, and let me find another one that is challenging over here. Yeah, so do you normally watch TV in the evening? Because we are talking about a portion of the day or some parts of the day in the evening. This one, let's see if you remember this one. Let me relaunch it right away. So what time do you usually go to bed? Something night.
At night. Sorry.
There you go. He gave it away. If you were listening, you would know. At night. Why? Because that's the exception. In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, at night. Right, so I think we got it. We got the correct results. All right. And one more exercise and then we'll continue. What or how do you relax on the weekend? Remember, or you can use also at the weekend if you want to use the UK version at. But most normally people from the United States, they use on the weekend, but it depends on what you prefer. I think that I use on the weekend most often, but yeah, it depends on what you are more used to hearing. This one is a very tricky one. So, and this is something that I want to talk about with you guys before we move on to another topic. So think about it, think closely. What do you usually do New Year's Eve? Where is the key here? The key is here, Eve. What does Eve mean, by the way? Does anybody know what Eve means in Spanish?
Vísperas?
There you go. Yes, vísperas. Nope. I'm missing the V. Vísperas. Eve.
No, I don't know. I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
No.
No, this one is tricky. Eve.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, let me give you another hint. Maybe this will help. New Year's Eve, it's a specific day of the year. So think about what you use for days.
I was lucky.
Yeah, so when we are talking about days, we use on, definitely. So let me close it before we keep voting. Yes, on New Year's Eve. Whenever you're talking about a specific day, even if you're not mentioning the day, because maybe New Year's Eve could be Friday. We don't know, it changes. But when you're talking about a specific day of the year, it's on New Year's Eve. Also, we say on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day. What else? What's another famous day? Like on Halloween also. Yeah, like a specific days of the year, they go with on. But there's an exception. Sorry to inform, but yeah.
Another exception. Okay.
Another exception, festivities. When you're talking about festivities in general, then you have to use at. So at Christmas, for example. Let's say I visit my parents at Christmas, like talking about the festivity in general. I'm not talking about the day. That's why here we have on Christmas Day. It's one day, it's the 25th. But when I talk about the festivities, the holidays in general, is at. So yeah, it changes. The exception is only for festivities though. So at Christmas, at what else? I'm short on festivities maybe, because I don't remember any other festivity of the year. At Carnival maybe?
Day.
The Mother's Day. there
Mother's
is
Day.
a day?
Yeah.
Yes? Oh,
Yep.
okay.
But it goes with on because it's Mother's Day.
Oh, okay.
Or as I heard, Thanksgiving Day, also with
Easter
on.
Day.
Sorry? Can you repeat, Yuri? I couldn't hear you.
Easter.
Easter. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Easter. It's yeah. That's a good one.
Maybe
Easter.
Carnival.
Carnival, yes. So
Carnival.
Carnival would be at Carnival. Or Easter, because it's a long festivity. I had forgotten about that one. Easter would also go with at. So I travel at Easter, meaning during all that week, I travel. So yeah, it depends on what you're talking about.
Today, no?
Sorry?
Independence Day today.
It's a day at Independence Day. Yeah.
What happened with 4th July?
With the 4th of July, it's on the 4th of July.
Okay, thanks.
Well, actually, they say July 4th. So yeah, on July 4th. Yes. Okay, so those are kind of, yeah, we always have the rule, but we always have the exception. It always depends on your point of view. All right, so if you are referring to the festivity in general, it's always at. If you are referring to a specific day, it's always on. Yeah, the point of view here, it's important. Now that I mentioned the 4th of July, I also need to tell you this, this about dates. What day is today? It's March 4th. Or we can also say 4th March. All right, so which one is correct? I would say both. Let me tell you why. March 4th is correct in American English. I don't know why, but American people, you'll always use this kind of date. So they would always say, our class is on March 4th, for example. But the rest of the world uses this, this way of talking about the date. So this is like UK, and this one would be the American way. Yeah, it depends on where you are, the one that you are going to use. If you are more familiarized with the American English, maybe you're going to use this one. I tend to use this one when I'm speaking. I'm used to that. So yeah, you may hear me saying the 4th of March instead of saying March the 4th. But when I write, for example, when I upload the videos, I always use this format. Okay, so yeah, again, it's up to you. You have options and you can use whichever works better for you. All right, so yeah, that was the exception about festivities. And I think that we've got to the point where we have many options here. And yeah, now what do we need to do is to keep practicing, because otherwise it gets tricky to remember. And it takes time to use them naturally. Okay, so yeah, the more you practice, the easier it will get. Of course, I'm going to be sharing this with you. And let me share again. No, let's not share again because I have it right here. I'm also going to be sharing, this is not working. Now it's working. This document with you, with the basic prepositions, the pyramids, the chart, if it's easier for you. And below the chart, we have some exercises. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing this document with you. And where am I going to share it? Here, where we have, well, that's not the one. It's this one. Here, when we have the students folder, which is the folder that I shared with you, here we have all your names. And when we have things like this, like worksheets that you can use to practice outside the classroom, I'm going to be creating the documents on your, not here, on your folders, your personal folders, so you can get there and practice whenever you want, okay? I'm not always checking on you if you are using the documents or not. I paste the document here, I save it, and if you want to practice, use it. If you don't want to practice, don't use it. It's perfect, okay? So I'm not going to be checking on you, as I said. I just share the documents. And why do I do this? Because I think it's more organized. Whenever you want to practice English, you know where to go. I'm going to be saving all the documents here. But when I send my students the document, sometimes they download the document and they never know where it is. Okay, so that's why I try to do this with my students, so it's more organized and you always know where your documents are, where the correct answers are. And here I'm going to create a folder with my name on it, okay? In case you don't know, my name is Valeria. So I'm going to be sharing this. I'm going to put it at the end, so it's easier for you to find it. And on my folder, you are always going to find the same documents that you have on your folders, but with the correct answers, okay? So after you complete your document, and if you have some doubts or you want to compare, you go to my documents and check my answers. And of course, if you don't agree with any answer or you had a different opinion, etc., you can share a screenshot with me and tell me and ask me, Valeria, why is this incorrect? Or why do you have a different option when I think this is the correct one? Okay, so it's easier for all of us to work like this. Okay, so whenever we have worksheets, this is where I'm going to paste it. Yeah, comments or questions about this? Is it clear? I'm not sure if I'm making sense.
I have a really great question. Why I don't have my name in your share folder?
Oh, that's a really great question. Thank you for that question. And the reason is because I created these folders last week. So with the students that I had already enrolled, new students are going to be added. So sorry about
Good
that.
answer. Good answer.
All right. So yeah, tonight I'm going to add the new students and yeah, also the documents. If you're new in this course, also you have to complete the diagnostic exam, which is here. And on my folder also, I'm going to be sharing the diagnostic exam with the correct answers. And yeah, I'm going to be checking your diagnostic exams. Why did we take a diagnostic exam? Just because I need to see where you are on this course, all right? It's not because if you didn't get a good grade, I'm going to kick you out of the class. That's not true. It's not going to happen. We are here to practice and to learn. So yeah, I just need to know where all of us are. And also because then I'm going to be having you work on teams. So I need to have you work with people who have a similar level, okay? So that's why. Please, can you send the link of the Drive link? Yeah. So to all of those people who are not added on this shared folder, I'm going to share an invitation on email. Yes, I've got your emails, so I'm going to say that right after the class. So yeah, that's another platform that we are going to be using in this class. Let me remind you, we are going to be using the LMS platform just to keep our folders here, our video classes. And if you miss any class, you can see what we did here. Another one is My English Lab, which comes with the book. So if you buy the book, you can use My English Lab. And we are going to be using Drive to keep your documents, all your worksheets. Yeah, that's going to be saved there. It's we're going to be using Drive somehow as a notebook where you can record your notes. That's why I prefer Drive. And finally, oh no, that's it. That's what we are going to be using. So the classes are going to be shared here, and you can watch them on YouTube because that's where I share my classes. And yeah, and that's it. That's a lot of information for today, but yeah, I needed to have you work on prepositions. As I told you, also we have a lot of prepositions in English. Of course, these are the basic ones, but we have more that we are going to be using during the course, and when it comes to time, I'm going to be sharing them. Now, having said that, I need to talk about the book before this class ends. So when we talk about the book, I mean this is chapter 3, in case you're not familiarized with it. And yeah, also Pearson has an app, so you can use it if you want. It's not going to be mandatory, and I cannot check if you have the app or not. It's like your decision to take. What can you find on the app? Extra exercises about the units of the book. Okay, so if you need more practice, then use the app. I personally don't use it because I don't have the time to use it. So I downloaded it a few years ago, and I have to say it, I have never used it. Sometimes if I need to practice something, I go to My English Lab, or I just fill in the book, so I read some exercises from the book. But really, I don't like the app that much. If you like apps and if you think that you can use it in your free time, that's perfect. So on your books, when you buy the book, you are going to have something like a cover page or something where you can find the information about the app. Where can you get it? On the store, of course. And yeah, and that's it. You can use it for extra practice if you want. Let me check. Yes, it is our institutional email of LMS, except for those people who don't have an institutional email. In that case, they're going to have you use a specific username. But yeah, no problem. Okay, what else did I want to mention? This one. Okay, so on the book, you always have the learning goals, which is more or less to get you prepared to what you are going to be facing in each unit. So you have what you are going to learn to do during this specific unit. For example, in unit 1, which is called what's going on with you, you have the specific learning goals of talking about what you're doing, talking about your family, make and respond to invitations, talk about friendships and emails. All right, so that's like the learning goals. I usually recommend my students watch this, like pay attention to the learning goals, because also that keeps you organized. Like, what am I doing in this unit? That. These are big goals, and then how are we going to get to those goals? We're using the specific grammar on the grammar chart. Okay, so we have usually all the units start with a vocabulary section, then we have the grammar section, pronunciation, conversation, and try it yourself. Do we fill in the whole book? Of course not. We don't have the time to complete all of the exercises. So usually I give some of this for homework, or I just recommend to complete them outside the classroom. So we're not going to be able to fill in the whole book. I'm telling you right away. Yeah, so lesson 1, lesson 2, and lesson 3 of each unit have the same structure. They have a vocabulary section and a grammar section, which go together. Then we have lesson 4, and in lesson 4 we always have a reading comprehension, and finally we have lesson 5, which is to make you write something. So they teach you how to write, and they give you an example, and then they give you all of the steps that you need to follow to write, in this case, an email. And yeah, then we have like a unit where we put everything that we have learned together. And that's it. That's how the units work, right? So 2 is going to happen the same. Then we have 3 lessons for grammar and vocabulary. And we have 1 lesson, which is lesson number 4 for reading practice, and lesson number 5 for writing practice. All right, so as I just mentioned, we are not going to complete every single page of the book, but I try to include all of the exercises as homework or as tasks that we do in class. Right, so we are going to be basing our class on this, but also we are going to be using extra material, like the one with the prepositions tonight, depending on what we need. Yes, next class, I am going to tell you a little bit about the exams that we are going to have. I'm going to tell you how it's going to work, so also you can make sure that you are going to pass the course. I'm going to be telling you more about that. But next class, because now we run out of time, I'm sorry for speaking too much tonight. I usually don't speak too much in my classes, but yeah, I wanted to review this. Next class, of course, I'm going to have you speaking, and you can practice your English there. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming tonight. If you have extra questions, if there's something that's not clear, stay with me. I'm going to stay a few more minutes. Otherwise, you may leave right away, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Thank you very much for coming.
See you Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, teacher.